What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today, get ready, strap on your Thunder Badges because it is time for your Lieutenant Surge Pokemon deck. This one is based on the XY Raichu, and it's pretty straightforward. It's got free retreat, which is amazing, and a 2-colorless energy attack, which we'll be focusing on Circle Circuit that does 20 damage times the number of your benched Pokemon. So if we were to combine this with, say, Skyfield, we could have 8 benched Pokemon, 20 damage apiece. That's 160 damage, which is almost enough to knock out any EX. But if we throw on a Muscle Band, that's 180, and that's a KO. And that's going to be pretty much the whole gist of the deck. Of course, we do have another way to put 20 extra damage on things in case we don't have our Muscle Band. But more on that in a second. We do have this Thunderbolt attack for 100 damage, but it's 2 lightning and 1 colorless, so we're probably not going to be using it, although it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But so our main theme of the deck is, okay, get a lot of Pokemon on our bench and then attack with Raichu really quickly. Well, we got 4 basic Pokemon right here in the form of Pikachu. Most of the Pikachus printed are okay, and they're all a little different. I prefer the XY Pikachu because if you get in a jam, 1 energy of any kind can paralyze an opponent, which is probably your best defense. Yeah, there are attacks like Agility for 2 colorless, but this one I can do with a basic energy, and even though it doesn't deal damage, damage isn't really my goal if I'm having to attack with Pikachu. And whereas with Agility, it's a little easier for your opponent to get out of it by Lysandering. If we paralyze them, they have to switch their Pokemon out with some kind of an effect and be able to deal a decent attack. So Pikachu from XY probably our best bet. So I was thinking, what's a great way to get lots of Pokemon onto our bench quickly? Hoopa EX is a great way to do it. We can Ultra Ball or we can Pokemon Fan Club for this guy, and he gets us 3 EXs. So we can incredibly easily stock up on basic Pokemon, and he's a basic Pokemon on the bench himself, of course. And speaking of EXs that Hoopa EX can go get and things that can fill up our bench, Shaman EX. He can draw with setup and keep us going happily. He's probably one of the best targets, if not the best target for Hoopa EX. And normally him sitting on the bench is kind of a liability, but in this case it's actually going to be good. Well, here's another electric Pokemon and an EX we can go get that is perfectly matched with Raichu. Manectric EX can overrun and deal 20 damage to benched Pokemon and current active Pokemon, enough to finish off something that's been hit hard by Raichu, or enough to tag damage on something that can later be knocked out by Raichu with your Skyfield out. But it's also important to note that Assault Laser here for 2 energy deals 60 damage, even if they have no tool attached. Which means that if this guy has a Muscle Band, or if a Raichu would have a Muscle Band and just a 5 Pokemon bench, that's a 2-hit KO right there. So some pretty important math here, all with pretty low energy costs. And this deck is actually very energy economical. But of course, since Hoopa EX can go search for any EX, we are including 2 copies of Mega Manectric EX, plus he helps keep our energy going in case something goes wrong. We're forced to like Sycamore through it or something like that. And it's another free retreat Pokemon. So we enjoy an abundance of free retreat in this deck. 2 hits from Turbo Bolt or a Turbo Bolt combined with a Circle Circuit is easily a KO on pretty much anything. This guy was just made too much sense not to run him in here. We do have 2 more basic Pokemon. One is Dedenne. We're running him basically because Entrainment is a great early attack, but Energy Short is a great way to pick up knockouts as well. He just fits the theme just too beautifully not to include, and he's a good fan club target, and he never hurts to start the game with. In fact, he's excellent in the early game, and late game he's a target when you need him, if you need to go search him up. And our last basic Pokemon to take up some space on our bench is Mr. Mime from the new set, Breakthrough. He just makes a lot of sense in this deck. He's a great basic Pokemon to slap on your bench and just have sit there the rest of the game, and he protects your benched Pokemon from damage from attacks, which is just a great secondary effect. So there's no reason you wouldn't want to just slap him down there and have him just sit there the whole game and kind of protect you from things like Overrun or other damage-dealing attacks that happen at the bench. There's just no reason not to. Alright, to keep all this going, we're running 4 Sycamore. Pretty straightforward there. 1 Birch's Observation. It's a versus Secret Target, and it's sort of a 5th Sycamore, if you want to look at it that way. 1 Pokemon Fan Club. It's versus Seeker Battle Compressory. Because it's not useful all game, we're not running more than 1, but it's really quite good to have the 1 in this deck. Keeps your bench quite healthy, especially if you lose your Skyfield. We're running 1 Skyla, because we got a lot of things we really want to get and make sure we get them. We're running 1 Hex Maniac. This is pretty crucial for getting around a couple of things. We mostly don't rely on anything that's easily broken, but Aegis/EX is kind of a threat, so we do have Hexmaniac for that. And it can disrupt opponents occasionally too, so it's played correctly, it can be a pretty useful card, and I think we do need it in here. And of course we do have one Lysander for all the obvious reasons, because, you know, picking up knockouts is important. And as far as our items go, we're running a full complement of 4 muscle bands because we really, really want that on our Raichu to help get one-hit KOs instead of near misses. So we definitely are including 4 of those. It makes a lot of sense. And don't be afraid to put it on your Manectric EX, since we're only running 2 Manectric Spirit Links, we do have 3 Manectric EX, and ultimately it's more important to have them as a target to fill up your bench and be a secondary attacker than it is to necessarily Mega Evolve. So don't sweat these Spirit Links too very much, but we are running 1 for each Mega just to make sure that Mega is never painful for us, essentially. And that Mega can of course power up a Raichu with his attack with his Turbo Bolt. So it is worth having around. We have 3 Ultra Balls to make sure we can get access to Raichu, and it can at very least get us other basics, but obviously this gets us Hoopa and Shaman EX very early, so pretty important to be running 3. We've got our 4 Versus Seekers to keep our supporters going strong, and we're running 2 Battle Compressors instead of 3, because we got some fair draw power here, definitely, because it's pretty easy for us to hit Shaman EX in here and draw up. So this is a good card we can throw out of our hand to power up the next Shaman, and this just gets our extra Hexmaniac, Pokemon Fan Club, Lysander kind of stuff straight from the deck into the discard pile where you can access it with Versus Seeker when you need it. So we're just running the 2 because we really don't have too much other reason to put energy in the discard. I know, we run Mega Manectric, but that's alright. It's okay, he's not our primary attacker. You'll live. Those energies will get in there or you won't need him. And the 110 is still good damage. It'll be okay. Shh. It'll be alright. Just breathe. Alright, and we're also running 4 Skyfield. Pretty obvious. 4 Skyfield. We want to have 8 benched Pokemon. End of story. Makes Raichu happy. Enables our OHKOs. It's that simple. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate things. Alright, since we do have the Skyla, I really like this Professor's Letter, especially since we're running a minimum of energy. This helps make sure our attackers keep our wheels greased, so to speak. We keep going. It's a great Skyla target to keep us from kind of stalling out. We do have 1 escape rope, and the reason we're running 1 escape rope is because we can't fit a second escape rope. But with such an abundance of free retreat cost Pokemon, this escape rope is easily superior to Switch, in my mind. And it's good for if we get statused or if we just have to force something out. So it's a nice one-of we can go get. And speaking of nice one-ofs, we also run 1 copy of Sacred Ash, because we're pretty much exclusively using this to restock Pokemon into our deck so that we can reload our bench if we really need to go that route. And this just straight up beats Super Rod, because it gets 5 things, which is more than 3 things. And finally, our energy is incredibly direct. We're running 4 double colorless energies, because, you know, Raichu. And we're running 7 lightning energies, or electric energies, or whatever the heck you want to call them. And that's basically it. Remember, our primary attacking Pokemon need very little energy in order to survive, and we have Mega Manectric to bring them back if needs be. So that's quite enough. That's the deck. It's pretty fast. It's a lot of fun. It can really catch some opponents by surprise and do that Lieutenant Surgy kind of thing, where he just pops people, just like he did with Raichu back in the Red and Blue days. Are you nostalging here? Yeah, some of you aren't because you're too young, but that's okay. Play Red and Blue, the real Red and Blue. You won't regret it. And when you get to Lieutenant Surge, the Lightning American, hopefully you'll think about his Raichu and maybe, just maybe, all the time you had playing this deck. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check me out on Twitter. Link is below, and I will see you next time.